I am back today with a guest that I am so excited to interview and to introduce all of you to. His name is Lance, and Lance has a reputation that precedes him. So I can't wait to find out more about that and share it with all of you guys. Thank you so much, Lance, for coming on the show today.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Sarah, for having me. I'm excited to come on and hopefully add some value today.
Oh, heck yeah. I know you're going to be able to do that. So I literally don't know hardly anything about you.
Yep.
And I kind of do that purposefully because I want to learn, as you tell your story. So the one thing that I have heard is I've heard your name a lot in the Pace Morby community. So you're kind of like Lance the Legend. And I would like to
That's
find
awesome. Whoa, I'm going to write that down. Hold on.
Lance the Legend.
That's
Yes.
great.
And I'd like to find out why. Like,
Sure.
can you give us a little history on who's Lance and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. I won't get too deep into my story, but I like to tell my story when I connect with people. Originally from Southern California, I migrated up to Oregon when I was 18. And I've been an entrepreneur for well over 20 years now. And so
Awesome.
I dropped out of high school, to be honest. I'm that guy, dropped out of high school, struggled, hung out behind the high school more than I was in it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to work with my stepfather at the time. And that's kind of why I rebelled. My dad wasn't around, so I kind of rebelled against everything. But yeah, I got into, moved to Oregon and actually got an opportunity to go to see my first presentation for multi-level marketing is what happened. That's kind of what got
Okay.
me on my path, So
Okay.
one of the general contractors we were working for invited me to a meeting, and I went, and it was a little weird at first, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I show up and there's a
Yeah.
whiteboard and chairs in the living room. I was like, "What in the heck is going on?" And so
Yeah.
what happened was I saw an opportunity to get out of construction and to do something else. And I started reading
Yeah.
books and I started going to conferences. And so, that ultimate, that lesson that you hear all the time, your network is your net worth, right? Your network is
Yes.
your net
Yes.
worth over and over and over. And so I started getting in the rooms with wealthy people, people who were stable, people who were working hard, taking massive action, and it
Yeah.
just kind of stuck with me. And I just continued my journey and learning and done a lot of things, about 5 or 6 of those businesses throughout the years. Just wasn't the right
That's
vehicle
awesome.
for me,
Yeah.
but like I said, it got me on that path of personal growth and development, and I just never looked back.
Mhm.
And we've done all kinds of different things, and so yeah, I got into real estate about 10 years ago. You know,
Okay.
doing fix and flips. But yeah, I basically I started my own granite and tile business. That's what my stepdad did. So I learned how to fabricate marble and granite, and I learned how to set tile, and then I basically started my own business because of those things I was learning. I kind of got hyped,
Yeah.
and my confidence started building and growing, and I started just kind of believing in myself a lot more. Really, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it all starts up here. The shifts started happening, and I decided to start my own business, and I had it for almost 20 years. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That's incredible. So the multi-level marketing or network marketing world got you surrounded by a bunch of people that are high vibe and
yeah,
positive and empowering.
yep,
And like you said, self-development's huge in that world. And I
yeah,
can totally see how that's addictive because I have the same background with like trying multiple ones, but never really took it to the moon
yeah,
myself. But
uh-huh.
I love the energy, in that
Yes,
world.
totally.
So
It is different.
that's
It
so
was way
cool.
different than what you normally see.
Exactly. And then, like you say, it took you out of maybe this funk that you were in your life and surrounded you with, like you said, stable people, and maybe helped to paint a vision for you for your future, what it could be. And then you got your self confidence and went into business for yourself. So for the business that you had of your own, was it the granite business for you said 20 years?
Yeah, close to 20. It was a little over 18
Okay.
years, but it's easy to round up.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
we did that
And
business,
then
my wife and I did, for almost 18 years. We've been partners for over
awesome.
20 years in business and whatnot. She's the one that gets dragged into stuff because I'm a very high You know, I'm a achiever, but it's like I have a high motivation and a will to succeed,
Yeah.
and I try
Yeah.
things. You know, that's just kind of what you do. You just try something. You try things until you find
Mhm.
what works. You know, so she came
Yeah.
kicking and screaming to a lot of those different businesses, and I pushed too
I love
hard
it.
too.
She's
That
like,
was a
"Here's another one."
Yeah, that was a big mistake I made. I pushed too hard, with her on a couple of them, and I didn't recognize it.
Yeah.
But I pushed her away, and you know, pushed her to because I wanted, I didn't understand that not everybody was going to be at my level, and so
Mhm.
I'm what don't you understand? Like this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
You have to do these things, and she just wasn't into it as much. She didn't have
Wow.
the the same passion. She was very supportive though. It took me a
That's
while to
cool.
figure out that I was pushing her too hard. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you got to be careful. It's nice to have a support system, but you don't want to, destroy that support system by pushing too hard. So that was a big lesson that I had to
Yeah.
learn.
That's very wise words for sure. I mean, even that industry tends to sometimes push people away from you, like friends and family and things, because you almost become like a zealot. Um, and
Yeah,
it's awesome when people jump on board, but if they don't, like you say, you're like, where's the disconnect? Can't you see the vision?
yeah,
But yeah, it's not for everybody. And it
right.
sounds like you're a wise man and circled back around and realized, what she needed as well. And she
Yeah,
means more than, just hustling, hustling,
yeah,
hustling.
exactly. Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
that's
I
good.
had a major kind of awakening, I guess, if you will, about well 4 years ago, going on
Yeah.
5 years now. Wait, 2020. Holy shit! Yeah, so we're almost
COVID,
5 years now.
COVID era.
It was mid like craziness, right? Everybody was still like, "What
Hmm.
the heck's going on?" We're already 3 months
Yeah.
past, 4 months past the opening back up phase, and what is this? Like, it's a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure, and so
Yeah.
like us, a lot of people had problems. Our youngest was stuck in his room. A lot of his parents didn't want him coming over and whatnot. The drill, right? It was tough. It was really tough for him and the whole family.
Yeah.
So we went through some crazy stuff actually through that era. Um, and actually, I'm really thankful though, because it really was a wake up call for me. My wife decided that she needed some time away actually in October of 2020. Was it 2020? Yeah. And she read me and the kids a
Yeah.
letter and basically said that she needed a 90-day sabbatical. And I was like, what the hell? What?
I don't know.
What is going on here?
Wow.
Wait,
She's a
wait,
strong
what?
woman.
Yeah, she's very strong. And she
Yeah.
wasn't for a long time. She was the
Yeah.
people pleaser, and she was coming
Ooh.
out of that phase of her life, basically. She had some things happen. She was building up
Really.
resentment towards me. And, some of the things I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know at the time, but what happened is it sprung me into action. Uh, she walked out and I was completely in shock and devastated. And it'd been over 20
Yeah.
years together, so business
Your support
partners.
role just
My
walked out.
God. Yeah, my rock, you know. I
Yeah.
had a big
Yeah.
misconception. I thought I was her rock. I thought I was her safe space, but I hadn't been for a few years. I was too focused on success in the
Mm.
future. That was my problem. And I lost
Wow.
sight
And she was
of,
living in the present.
yes. Yep. And I lost sight of it. And I almost blew it, But yeah, it was a hell of a journey I went on. I listened to
Wow.
this book called How to Listen with Intention by Patrick King. And
Mm.
that book literally saved my marriage, to be honest with you. I listened to it over and
Wow.
over and over and over and over every day for months. And to see her, we owned the business together, so she didn't like take off, like fly away. She was in
Yeah.
town
Thank goodness for
still.
that business.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, that gave me the opportunity to prove to her that I was changing and to show her some things. And because I'm not
Yeah.
typically not a big talker. I do a lot on social media to encourage other people, but for the most part, I don't like to be a big talker. I like to, show people and prove to people
Mm.
what I'm about. And so that's what I did. We started having conversations,
Wow.
and she started putting down her guard after a few months, and then it turned into some really amazing conversations, and then some scary ones, right? Because
Mhm.
she gave me permission to ask her questions about anything, and I was like scared to ask her
Mhm.
some stuff, and
Yeah. Yeah.
um but it turned into a beautiful thing. We started really building this new friendship. I didn't want to push. I gave her the space that she needed. I learned how to hold space for her and my daughter through the whole thing.
Wow.
I was able to curve my anger, curve my sarcasm, learn how to listen really well and ask questions and draw things out of her. And I learned how to love her and her
Oh
love
my God.
language. That was a really crucial part of the whole thing. But I
That's
was a
so
man on a
amazing to hear a
mission.
man say.
You
Yeah.
know, it was a wild ride. It was 6 months though. It took me, and I won her heart back. And she put her ring back on, and it changed our lives completely.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah,
That is incredible. See, this is why I like to come in kind of not knowing much about somebody.
yeah,
Never in my wildest dreams would have imagined this interview would turn that direction. But
I know.
wow, like
It's such a
that's
big part of my story.
incredible.
It's hard for me not to talk about it because it really it shaped our new relationship and where we were heading.
Yeah,
From there.
yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like you both became different people, like than the ones that you fell in love with originally. And through your different journeys, you came to a crossroads,
Yeah.
and you had to like re-date, get to know each
Yep.
other, and then build a foundation even stronger than the first one, like tear it
Yep.
down and then
Exactly.
rebuild it. And that's
Pretty much.
so
Yeah.
powerful.
Isn't that?
Oh my
Thank you so
gosh.
much. It's not very common, I
Yeah.
guess, these days. So, I like
No, you
to talk
obviously
about it
love
to
her.
give people encouragement and, to not quit, not give up because you just never know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the goosebumps are here. Because yeah, people do give up. They give up way too easily.
Yeah.
Or they give up in the sense that they just aren't willing to do that rebuilding part, the breaking it down, allow it to fall apart so that you can then rebuild
Yeah.
it.
Honestly,
That's
I give her a ton of credit. I have to, right? Because if she would have stayed, we wouldn't have been able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to go through the whole thing. It was very painful, very
Yeah.
difficult. It was getting into those dark areas of my life that I was ashamed of, basically, is what had to happen. And you had to. The first thing I had to do was take extreme ownership, and that's really tough for a lot of men, especially.
Jocko.
That pride gets in the way, right? Oh, it's her did this, she
Yeah.
did that, and I didn't even care,
Yeah.
honestly, what her involvement was in it. I knew I screwed up, and that's all that mattered. I knew I had some work to do, and she meant more to me than any one thing, or like it didn't matter to me,
Yeah. What's success without her? Right?
exactly. Yeah. Oh, I would have been lost. I mean, I was, but yeah, it was
Wow. That's
incredible.
so
It really
cool.
was.
So besides that book, did you guys do counseling or therapy, or did you just rebuild all on your own?
That's a great question. We did most of it on our own, but we did seek some counselor that we found on Instagram, funny enough. She needed it more than I did because I was able to counsel myself, and I journaled like for days, and I had like 3 notebooks. I still do, full of journaling, and
Wow.
I was able to work through my stuff. Her path was totally different. She kind of backslid and, didn't really give herself as much time to work on some stuff that she probably should have, finding out later, so her and I definitely had to work. There was still a lot of work to do, but the biggest part of it was over. And we worked through some painful things and had some tough conversations, at least a year or so afterwards. But here's the really cool thing. We decided to sell our business, and we sold our last flip that we had, and we decided to take some time off. We ended up taking 6 months off, which was a little too much, but talk about, I mean,
Cool.
the timing was
Yeah.
perfect, right? I just really wanted to get to know her better, and like you said, really build that solid foundation on solid granite, you know. And
Yes. Yes.
so yeah, we did a little bit of counseling and we worked through stuff. Honestly, and I don't talk about this a lot, but I don't really care anymore. We were experimenting with microdosing, a little bit with mushrooms and stuff, and I heard from a friend of mine that was something that had done wonders for his marriage. So I started researching it, and I wanted to learn more about it. And everything I saw
Like
was really
psilocybin?
positive. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so
Cool.
microdose
That's
is
so cool.
basically, yeah. And so they've been doing a lot of research on it, and what they've been finding is that it actually opens up certain receptors in the brain, and it'll connect neurons that would never normally connect. So it gets you into this whole deeper thought process and deeper state of mind. And that's
Awareness.
exactly what it was for
Yeah.
us. We got into these really deep conversations that, you know,
Wow.
was amazing. And I would highly recommend it, honestly. And it's funny, people don't
Fun.
understand what it means that you don't get high. It's not like you're partying
No,
back when you're a teenager. I used
no.
to, do all kinds of stupid stuff, but it's
Yeah,
nothing
totally
like that.
different. It's like take you into your subconscious,
Yeah,
right?
it's not a physical high at all. It just alters your thought process, really. But it was amazing.
That's
Um,
incredible. So question, because I haven't done it. I've been highly intrigued because a family member of mine has, and she told
yeah,
me it was life-changing for her.
yeah.
Um, but it's illegal in a lot of states, but apparently not all.
Yeah.
Or did you go to Jamaica where it's legal?
No, here's what's funny. Well, I lived in Oregon, so pretty much everything was
Okay.
decriminalized and legal in Oregon, which is crazy.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
so basically, honestly, here's what's crazy. I live in Texas now. They have
Mm-hmm.
legal versions of almost everything, so it's basically just like a little different
Oh.
dosage. I literally just went and got some gummies in Texas at this little vape store, and I was like, "Well, what is
Yeah.
this?" He goes, "Oh yeah, it's just like a microdose." I was like, "How can you sell this? It's not legal here." He goes, "Oh well, I can't get in all the science, but he had an explanation why he like skirted around
Yeah.
some kind of ingredient or something like that. It was crazy,
Okay.
but yeah.
A- And
Anyways,
so you can get the psilocybin effect off of a gummy, even is that what I heard you say?
yeah, they make gummies for microdose. Yeah, yep,
Okay, I did not know that. That
yep.
is really
You can go
cool.
online and order
And
it anywhere.
so,
It doesn't matter where you're at. It's crazy.
okay,
I'm not
and you
encouraging
don't need to
any
have
illegal activity, but I mean, it sounds weird, but
my relative, she probably did more than a microdose then because she had like somebody sitting with her through it,
oh yeah, that's
through
different.
the
Oh
like
well, yeah.
the
And we
experience.
can go Joe Rogan on this if you want, but it's like you go ayahuasca, DMT. That's like let's see what the universe looks like. In our own minds.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like a whole different type of experience. But
I think that's what she did. But she did come out of it with like whole new awareness on life.
yes, that's what I've heard. I was just actually
Yeah.
watching an interview the other day about DMT. It's one of those. It's like a 12-minute trip, I guess, and I've never done it or ayahuasca, but it's something I've actually been thinking about. It's funny because this is the first time I've ever talked about it, but
Yeah.
I'm open to it. That's the thing. It changed me. Like
Yeah.
that experience changed me. I
Y-
would have never been open to it before that. Before we went through
Yeah.
that. That was one of the things that kind of
Yeah.
happened when we went through that whole process was I kind of left behind some stuff that I was holding on to too tightly to politics, the whole shutdowns. I was
Mhm.
really upset about it as a business owner. I
Yeah.
really got involved trying to open businesses and stuff, but honestly, it didn't make any sense. I was holding on way too tight to the anger,
Yeah.
you know, and I was
Yeah.
bringing it home, unfortunately. So I had to let all
Yeah.
that go. I just walked away from pretty much everything that would upset me or get me irritated, and
Mhm.
just started exploring new things. I
Mhm.
hadn't done any kind of stuff, anything like that since I was in my mid-20s, I think. So it'd been 20
Right.
plus 25 years, probably 20 years since I had done any kind of anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's different, but I wanted to just kind of expand my mind into music, like just all kinds of different areas.
Yeah.
Making new friends, not judging people based on certain things. You know what I mean? So it just really
Mhm.
changed everything for me.
That's so incredibly awesome. So, just to clarify too, you weren't trying to escape your problems with
Yeah.
this. You were
Right.
actually trying to
Yeah.
solve stuff, go
Dig
deeper,
into,
and
yeah,
create.
go deeper.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then and just for people that maybe want to try what you were just discussing, literally just you recommend that couples go get these gummies and then take them and then just start talking? Like,
Yeah.
is that how you were
Honestly,
able to like open up and go deeper?
yeah. Yeah. Be really, really careful if you haven't done, well, not careful. You can get high. So you want to
Okay.
go check out, I'm no expert either, by the way, but you want to check out what the minimum dosage would be and maybe work your way up.
Mhm.
If it doesn't do anything, maybe try a little bit more. Because if you take too much,
Mhm.
you definitely will feel high. It alters your
Sure.
perception. And but the
Mhm.
microdose, like I said, literally, if you were actually taking the actual mushrooms, it's just like a little tiny stem. You know,
Yeah.
so you can get it almost anywhere at this point. But it's wild. The depth of conversation. If you're having any issues or struggling to connect on certain levels, it definitely can help.
Mhm.
For me personally, it really, really did wonders for us. And,
Yeah.
we were open to it. We were ready, though. You can't have one partner not willing to make any changes, right? So
Sure.
if you're
Sure.
both open to
Well,
it,
and
trying to
I'm
get
also
counseling, and, I would definitely
yeah.
encourage it.
And I just had a thought because I'm single, and so I'm thinking for
Mhm.
myself, I bet you microdosing on this would also help people with like personal awareness, like what's my purpose in life? Should I go after this career or this career? I bet you if you're journaling and microdose on this,
Yeah.
you might have an awareness come to mind where you're like, this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I wouldn't doubt it. Honestly, just being alone, away from everything for 30 minutes to an hour a day. I know it's a
Hmm.
lot, but off the phone, no TV, complete silence, complete quiet with a notepad, maybe.
Hmm.
That's how,
Yeah.
honestly, that's how most successful entrepreneurs come up with creative ideas and solutions to problems. You know, if
Yes.
you don't have that quiet time at least a few times a week, then you're definitely cutting yourself short in your business and your work, in anything you do. Last time I did it, it's been too long, but last time I did it, I kind of just did a brain dump and got like 30 things on paper. I was like, oh, you know, but it takes a little while to
That's
silence
so.
the voices and all the noise. So
Yeah.
we were doing a
Yeah.
lot of meditation and stuff too. Got into meditating and
Mhm.
just really learning to quiet my mind. That was a really important
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah. I also love earlier you said you got away from anything negative. You
Mhm.
escaped the
Yep.
negativity. I
Yep.
kind of did the same thing during COVID. I got myself into like a prepper mentality and
Yes.
I went overboard. And I also took and got strong opinions on the vaccine versus,
Yep.
and it made me angry also. I learned a lesson after COVID ended and I realized that, it wasn't so crazy like I had it in my own mind that it was.
Yeah.
I I I actually haven't watched the news in like
I love
probably
that.
maybe a year now. I
Yeah.
literally don't watch like there's a hurricane apparently coming to Florida soon, like Thursday. And I only found out about it because somebody messaged me and asked me, about it. And
Yeah. Right.
then to go get my news, I went and talked to a neighbor who does watch the news and she told me, what the scoop was. But I
Love it.
figure if it's important enough, people will tell me.
Yeah.
And my peace of mind has been so much better ever since I got rid of all the negativity out of my life and I guard who I
Yes.
interact with nowadays as well. And
So
it's
good.
so powerful.
I did the same thing. So it's been
Yeah.
about
And
5 years now since I've had cable or watched TV. I just shut it off completely.
nice.
I was like, done. Netflix and whatnot,
Yeah.
Hulu or whatever, a couple apps, but we don't watch
Yeah.
TV every day like most Americans. Like one of the things
Hmm.
that's scary, and especially when you think about a lot of the division and a lot of the fear mongering that's going on with the media. Think about the
Hmm.
average. This statistic is scary, right? The average American watches. Are you ready for this? 6 hours of television a day. 6 hours.
Isn't that freaking
Whoa.
mind-boggling? Yeah.
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 And those are the same people that say, "Oh, I just don't have time to do anything else." It's like, really? Are
Well,
you
yeah,
sure
because you're
about
busy
that?
watching TV.
Yeah, it's wild though. But
Yeah.
think about all the programming they're doing.
Mhm.
I mean, it's
That's
crazy.
exactly it.
It's a
And
lot,
they don't realize that they're being programmed.
right?
That's the part that drives me crazy. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't want to throw out names, but
Yeah,
certain relatives, they're like, we don't watch that news because it's so slanted. And I'm thinking
right.
to myself, the news you watch is so slanted, but you
Yeah,
can't see it.
exactly. They both are. They all are. Yeah, both, all. Yeah,
They all
exactly.
are.
That's the thing. I
Yeah.
get my news on TikTok, to be honest with you. That's where I find real up to date because it's people
Yeah.
recording or actually like you can see it in real
Yes.
time, you know?
Citizen journalism.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but it's
I
wild though
I
where we're
love
at,
that.
you know? I love how controversial this is getting because this is good stuff. But yeah, you know, but no, it was like you said, any negativity, just, I felt this weird vibration, like I needed to be on a high vibration, you know, vibrating at a high
Yeah.
level. Anything that was negative or just felt like it might be negative would like start
Mhm.
draining me immediately, and I would just walk away. I couldn't do it for
Yep.
years. It took me
Yep.
years to kind of
Exactly.
come around from that. You know, obviously I was damaged from what happened, so I had to heal myself,
Sure.
you know. But I
Yeah.
wanted to just touch on one of the big things though while I was on that journey. Well, one more book
Yes,
reference,
please.
right? The Power of Now by Eckhart
Yeah.
Tolle. That book was the other book that
Yes.
changed my life because, and
Mhm.
I was not like, if you would have known me before this, I'm not the type of person to read a book like that. You know, it just was odd.
Mhm.
It started off a little weird, and I was like, I had to really work through. Okay, it's not my
Yeah.
type, my style. I don't think the author is the type of person I would typically read, but
Yeah.
I've heard that this
Good.
book is powerful, and if it can help me get out of my, you know, subconscious mind,
Yeah.
and I can train myself how to, you know, reprogram my brain basically, then it's
Yeah.
all about.
Yeah.
So I got through the first chapter and it was great. It just took me a little bit to warm up to it. You know, I was in a new era,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, this isn't something I
You were
would normally
creating a brand new
read.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But man, I got to tell you, that book
Yeah.
changed my life. It did. It helped me get out of the too forward of thinking. I was thinking way too forward, and I wasn't enjoying the journey. I didn't
Yeah.
know how to enjoy the moment, and I was just like living day to
Yeah.
day to get to where I was trying to go. It was never like in the moment, you know. So
Mhm. Mhm.
highly encourage anyone to read that book. It was phenomenal. I listened to the
Yeah.
audio again recently, and I was like, damn, it's so good. But it's
That's
unlearning
awesome.
and
Isn't it
relearning.
interesting how Yes. Yes. It's interesting to me how it's considered like a deep book, and in a sense it
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
but in another sense it's the most simplest message there is.
it really
The
is.
only thing we actually have that's actual reality is this present moment. Boom.
Yep, yep,
That's it.
that's right.
Right? And most people are living in their past and worrying about and reliving their traumas. And then other people like you and me, because I was always a future person,
Yeah,
constantly living in the future.
yeah,
And so there's the present, past, and the present, future. And that's kind of where we need to be. Like we need to be grounded in the present, but then
yeah,
still looking forward to the future, because that's how we're going to create our future, right?
exactly.
And
Yeah,
and the past,
there's
I
definitely
guess,
a
is
healthy
just to
balance
learn
there.
from it.
Yeah, there really
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it was wild. Like that was a big part of it. But one of the hardest things, and I think the reason why most men in general don't put the work in to save their marriage or their relationship is the
Mhm.
wounds, right? The wounds that we've all been dealt as young people, as children. A lot
Yeah.
of father wounds, a lot of mother, like parent wounds,
Hmm.
and that's one of the areas that I really had to dig into and figure out why was I being this way? Why was I acting the way that my stepfather did, or my dad, just from DNA? Like, why was I
Yeah.
doing this, and being this, you know, this asshole, to be frank with you, part of the time?
Yeah.
Why was this
Yeah.
happening when I hated that? I hated it. I didn't want to do it. And I
Hmm.
refused to ever be that person. But here I am, like doing some of these things, you know. And so I really had to go way back and dig deep and figure out why it was happening. And it was because of the wounds that I hadn't healed from my
Hmm.
father and my stepfather, treating me, you know, talking to me certain ways, calling me names, you know, belittling me, making me feel
Yeah.
like I wasn't important. My dad made me feel I had abandonment issues because my dad would not show up. He was that kind of guy, right? Drugs and
Hmm.
alcohol his whole life, you know, abused drugs and alcohol, cheated on my mom, and
Hmm.
that's why she left him when I was young. And so this
Hmm.
guy was like really never a father figure to me. He was more like an uncle.
Yeah.
Whenever it was convenient for him, we would spend time. I was that kid in the
Yeah.
window waiting for my dad that never showed up. You know, that damaged me. He drank my
Worse.
goldfish at the fair when I was like 10 years old in front of his buddies, all drunk. That really messed me up. And then he called me a fat ass. I was overweight, you know, as a youngster.
Oh.
And can you imagine? Like, holy shit, that messed me up. And I carried that with me for a lot of
Yeah.
years. So going back
Yeah.
into those areas and figuring out what I had to do to kind of get past that stuff and realize that that's not who I am. And, that was really tough. And most
Yeah.
people aren't willing to do it, unfortunately, you know?
Yeah. They don't want to face the past. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's, interestingly, and I don't know, I mean, because you did it the hard way, it sounds like. You faced each monster until it backed down, right?
yeah,
Um, there are modalities nowadays where people can get therapy without having to actually relive it and
sure.
without having to talk about it. So I'm curious. I am kind of curious, like, if that works just as good for people
Right.
or if they need to go through the path that you did,
Yeah,
But
that's a
either
great
way, it's got to
question.
be addressed.
No, 100%. Yeah, and that's really what it is. It's you have to take the ownership first off. That's the first step. You have to take ownership to what you're doing and what you have to be very committed, right? And consistent.
Mhm.
It's just like anything in life. If you're not 100% all in, then it's not going to probably work real well. It might work for a little while,
Yeah.
but if you don't stick with it and keep doing trainings and growing every day, then it's going to be
Yeah.
tough to continue to stay on the path. Because with my wife, I put alarms on my phone. We did some counseling afterwards that helped a lot, helped give some clarity on some things, why I did this, why she did
Mhm.
that, why we couldn't figure
Yeah.
things out sometimes. And it was really good. It was healthy for us. And then we get into books too, relational books,
Mhm.
we've done that. But we just talk. We talk about stuff. We'll just hang out back.
Yeah.
We live on some property, we'll
Yeah.
hang out outside and just talk, get to know
I
each
love
other
it.
even more. And we'll talk about our day, and so it's so
Yeah.
important to have that open line of communication. But
Yeah. Well, I don't know your wife at all, but I did briefly look at your Instagram page and your Facebook and stuff, and
Mhm.
I could tell that there's a very special connection there. You
Yeah,
two are tight,
we really
you
are.
know.
It's wild
And
when
now
you
I know
get on
why.
that level. Yeah, we're it's freaking nuts. Like, we can be watching a movie and I'll say something and she's like, I was just thinking that, get out of my head, get out of my head. But, it's wild because we have so much in common, and we both are working towards one common goal, to be free, right? We want to be
Yeah.
free. That's our goal. And we've reached, I mean, we're wealthy, right? We are
Hmm.
living a great life. We haven't clocked in and had to go into a job in almost 3 years now. We're not where
Really?
we want.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We've amassed what will give us wealth. We've already got the real estate.
Yeah.
It's just not, the money's
Yeah.
not there yet. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
closed on over $4
The
million
assets
in
are
real
there.
estate. Yeah, yeah,
So cool.
we've got 60 doors right now, and just opened.
Wow. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
huge.
In 2 years we did that. 2 years. So
Wow. Okay. So that's really cool how you so seamlessly brought us back around to real estate. I love that.
yes,
So yeah, now I'm curious. Okay, so you had the business for 18 years, might as well round up to 20.
yeah, exactly.
And then did you start doing real estate on the side as a side hustle together?
Yes.
Or did you like sell the business and just jump in with both feet? Like how did you transition and how did you get from the newbie to where you are today?
Yeah, good. I love it. So yeah, we started, went to a seminar. I joined this mentorship program called Fortune Builders, actually. Um,
I've heard of them. Yes.
yeah, Fortune Builders was JJ Ezian was the Fortune Builder. There's a lot of people in the Sub 2 and Gator community who's been a part of Fortune Builders. It was one of the communities
Okay.
of the day, back in the day. I joined 10 years ago or so, but I just didn't have the time. I was building my business, so it took me about 2 years after joining that, and then pretty much wasting that, 10 grand that I put in on it, to get the
I've wasted
courage and
10 grand too.
motivation. Yeah. So it was like,
Yeah.
I didn't really learn enough. The community wasn't, there was nobody in my area. I had to go all the way up to Portland, Oregon. It was like 2.5 hour drive.
Oh,
And I was I'm
yes.
that kind of guy. I was committed. I was going up there like once a month, but it was just not enough, Um,
Mm, yeah.
so I decided I was going to flip houses. He owned the granite tile business.
Because of your contracting
Yeah,
background, right?
yeah, I knew all the
Yeah, okay.
contractors
Good
in
question.
town. I worked with them all the time. So it just
Yeah.
made sense. The design, right? We had a showroom and everything, so we could design our own stuff, and we were already doing it for
Nice.
other people. It just made sense.
Yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
pulled the trigger. I sat down and I had an agreement with the owner of my shop. He's like 70 some odd years old timer, handshake type of guy. He
Mhm.
would come and collect rent checks almost every month. And yeah,
Well,
I sat him down in my office one day and I told him what I wanted to do. I said, "Hey, do you know anyone?" This is a trick I learned with the MLMs was, do you know anyone who would be interested in partnering with me and making money by funding some deals?
I love that.
It was a
Yes.
great strategy, and I tried it before and it never worked. This time I had the credibility because I'd been leasing his space for like a couple of years. So he knew I was good for it and he knew I was growing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he goes, "I'd be interested." And I was like, shit, it
Whoa,
worked. It actually worked.
that's awesome. Yeah.
It's so, it's not comfortable. That's one important thing that people need to know. It's the only way you really grow and build a good, successful business is learning how to be uncomfortable all the time. You just get
Mm,
used to it.
that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Love
get
that.
comfortable being uncomfortable, basically. And I do
Yes.
that every single day. And so
Okay.
I sat down and I asked him, how much would you throw at the first deal? And he basically said, I give you $100,000. And I was like, what? You
And
know,
that's probably way more than you expected.
Whew,
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, holy crap. So I guess what? I went and found a
Yeah.
property for 90,000. After the
Sweet.
closing costs and everything, I had like $2,000 left. And I was like, okay, now what? Now I have a property and I don't have enough money to fix it.
Mhm.
So I found one
Yeah.
of my employees actually was bragging about his credit score all the time. I was like, hey, you want to put that credit score to use? I'll split the profits with you. And so I brought him in and he funded the flip and we split it, the profits.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice.
So that was our
And then
first deal.
who taught you how to properly like well, I guess there was no teaching involved. You probably just asked the original guy, like, do you want to make 10% on your 90K, or is that what you
No, I
did?
was pretty confident in myself. So I offered him 8%. He was
Okay.
like,
Okay.
well, I always start off low. I'm a great negotiator. I love closing, negotiating. I've been
Yeah.
closing contracts and getting customers in for years, so it wasn't like I was a stranger to it. It was just a different
Yeah.
in a different
Did
vehicle.
it for yourself.
And he's
Yeah.
like, well, I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't do it for 8%. He goes, I was thinking more 12. I said, well, how about 10? And he goes,
Good for
yeah,
you.
I'll do it for 10. I was like, sweet. Yeah. But I
Okay.
just was going. I was just figuring it out. Yeah, it was great.
I
We
love
did
that.
we did a couple deals with Jack, and then and I wanted to just let people know too. I said something earlier about the TV, watching TV.
Yeah.
I understood the meaning of the short-term sacrifice for the long-term gain early on, and I knew I would have to make
Yeah.
sacrifices. There was no way I was going to build a success and have that ultimate freedom that I desired by watching 6 hours of television a day. I just knew it's not possible.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I went all in. I fully committed. My kids were both young and in sports. My wife and I would go after work and work on these houses for the first two that we did. So we were working massive,
Yeah.
crazy hours, 14
Lots of
plus
hours.
16-hour days, and sometimes
Yeah.
two work days in one day. Two normal
Mhm.
W-2 work days in one day. So we just did what we had to do.
Yes.
Yeah,
Got it.
and it was wild.
That is wild. Good job. The only thing you were missing was a camera crew, so you could be Chip and Joanna Gaines, right?
Totally. Yeah, we actually almost had an opportunity to do that. I just missed it. They found somebody, but a realtor that I knew, he's like, man, you guys would be perfect. Because we would, man, we would bicker back and forth, and then we'd be like hugging, and I'd
It would
fire
have been
her
fun. Fun
at
for all
least
those
once a
people to
day.
watch for 6 hours every night.
Oh, dude, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
that's cool. All right, so then fast forwarding from that point, you were starting to get confident and you had a couple successful deals under your belt, but you were working crazy amount of hours. And then was Pace Morby Community next for you, or what happened?
Yeah, we flipped a handful of houses. We did 2 live-in flips. The last house we did,
Oh,
it was a triple-digit flip. We made 6 figures on, and that was amazing.
what?
It was at the coast in Oregon. We bought it just right.
Yeah.
And just missed the peak. We probably could have made another 30,000 on it, but we just missed the peak of the market because of some.
That's so crazy.
We had an issue. Some jackass was like, what was it? This guy bought this little property in front of us. It was an easement issue that this guy
Oh,
strong armed
man.
us into this legal battle.
Yeah.
It was a pain in the butt, but we got it figured out. Still made
Mhm.
a good six-figure income.
So
But yeah,
cool.
we just we took that 6 months off and then went to BPCon in San Diego, the Bigger Pockets conference. I'd followed
Oh, okay.
Bigger Pockets for years, and I'd listened to over 300 of their
Yeah.
podcasts. So it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
everyday people like you and me just going, "Hey, I'm just gonna go for it and try it and do it," and the success stories were amazing, and that's was where part of the motivation came from, was hearing those people, average people, doing it.
So cool.
And so we
Yeah.
did it. Yeah, we went for it, and yeah, we moved. Well, we sold everything we owned and then moved to East Texas. We took like a 12-day road trip. It was so amazing. We listened to the Gator trainings all the way. Pretty much completed the whole Gator
Nice.
training. It was only half of what it is now, but still, 2 years ago.
That's a
But
great way to do that, though. Go on a road trip.
oh, it was
Love
so
that.
cool. My son had his,
Yeah.
headphones, thankfully, but he was with us. But yeah, we
He
stopped
learned a
in.
lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, he did. We stopped in 4 states and 5 cities, and Moab, Utah. The Arches National
Oh,
Park was my
beautiful.
favorite part.
Mhm.
And then like
Yeah.
Albuquerque, New Mexico, we got to check out some history, some
Hot air
ancient
balloon.
Pueblo dwellings and stuff. And we did a
Mhm.
Top Golf day with my son, but it was so much fun. And then we landed
So
here and
cool.
just started taking like massive action. I made a big mess and I started cleaning it up. And now we're at the point to where we've got a wholesale team. We just opened our sober
Wow.
living facility. I think I told you we're doing co-living here in Texas, and
So
it's just
expound
crazy.
on that, 'cause when I hear co-living, and my brain immediately goes to pad split. Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about? That
It's
okay,
Pad
sweet.
Split, pretty much. Pad Split's a company, so co-living is
Uh-huh.
the model of the asset
Okay,
class. It's basically taking a single
got it.
family home and converting it into a multifamily by putting lock and key pads on the doors, and
Yeah.
then you add additional rooms, right? So if you had a 3-2 that had 2,000 square feet, you could probably create 3 additional bedrooms in it. So you would get a
It's
contractor,
funny.
create the spaces, and then rent each room out.
It's really funny to hear you say that, because I actually did that, exactly that. That's how I moved from Idaho to Florida. I bought
Nice.
a 3-bedroom, yep, 2 bath, and I had a wall added. And for the first couple months, I was Airbnb-ing the bedrooms. I
Yeah.
turned the dining room into a bedroom, so now I had 3
Yep.
rooms to rent out. They had
Yes.
their own separate entryway. They all
That's
had the
perfect.
keypads.
Yeah.
And then the Airbnb market kind of slowed down right here when kids went back to school. And
Mhm.
so I decided, for the winter months, I think I will go ahead and do more of a longer term rental,
Yeah.
and we'll see how that works out for these people. And if they like it, cool. And
Mhm.
if they don't, then I can always go back to Airbnb in the spring.
Yeah.
Um, and then I also have a desire to travel. So my thought is, for my space here, the living room, kitchen, master bedroom and bath, plus the fenced in backyard, I can go ahead and Airbnb this space out separately when I'm gone, and
Yeah.
I can be making money while I'm gone. So, and then come
Absolutely.
back home when I want to.
That's pretty
So
cool.
I love that.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
you did was basically a house hack, but it was a
Yes.
co-living house hack, basically. That's pretty neat.
You got it. Yes. And it's really helpful, because otherwise I don't, wouldn't have been able to afford the mortgage. So
That's so smart.
it helps
See,
me
we
do
can
it.
be pretty creative, and it's not anything new. It's just the name, the term, right, is new. Like, oh, hey,
So,
I can't afford
yeah.
this house. I'm going to rent 2 rooms out. Well, people have been doing that for
Yeah.
100 years, or more. I don't know.
Right,
But
right. And now it's a thing.
now it's
Yeah.
a business model. Yeah. So we
Fun.
have 2 co-living properties currently. Yeah, and it's been a struggle. We didn't do pad split. We did it on our own, and it's, man, neighbor problems with
Mhm.
neighbors,
Yeah.
tenants. We literally just had a tenant die in our first property
Oh
just a
no.
few weeks ago.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
talk about scary. At first, I'm
Uh,
like, oh my god, are we gonna get sued,
yeah.
or what the hell's gonna happen? And then it was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
somebody's sibling died, someone's son died, somebody's father
Yeah.
died.
Yeah.
Started hitting me. I was like, wow.
Right.
But I mean, honestly, anything you could think of, we've been through a lot of it. Just with
Yeah.
lending, borrowing, buying real estate. Um, it's been a
Yeah.
crazy ride so far.
And that's cool too that you just brought up the lending and borrowing, because most people watching this are probably just thinking you're just a real estate investor. But actually, Lance is also involved in Pace Morby's other communities. So there's Sub 2, there's Gator, there's TC for transaction
Yes,
coordinating.
that's true.
And
Yeah.
so go ahead and speak to that a little bit if you don't mind, like
Yeah.
just to educate people.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've done a lot of connecting. I kind of fell into a connector role and started bringing people deals. Just vetting them, doing underwriting, and we started getting into all kinds of different deals that way. And then as a Gator, right? But it was more PML, so it's the Gator 3.0 stuff that he's doing now. That we weren't that educated on it. We made some mistakes. We always stuck with our people though. Even though we were just finding deals and bringing potential deals, you always got to do your own due diligence, your own vetting. Don't ever trust a
Yeah.
connector. Don't ever trust another investor without
Yeah.
vetting and
It's
doing
your
your own due
money.
diligence. You've got to be very careful. Just want to throw that in there. But we made some mistakes and we did some really good deals too. But we learned a lot and we pivoted and shifted multiple times and grew and added to layers of protection and took the safety course and started really doing background checks and credit checks and all that stuff too. But it was a wild ride. And then we also started a TC business last year with some partners. Actually, one of the partners in my sober living business is our partner in our TC business as well. It's called Elite TC
Nice.
Services. So
Okay.
but yeah, it's we haven't done a whole lot with that. I mean, Diane, one of our partners, basically took the top tier TC training, and so my wife's worked with her quite a bit. It's starting to grow now. Funny enough, I just didn't have a whole lot of energy, and I was confusing people because we were doing other things, So I kind of backed off the marketing a little bit. But now it's funny, people remember already because I'd marketed it for a month or so. Now I'm having people reach out to me, go, "Hey, Lance, you guys still doing that TC thing, or do you have a good TC?" And I'm
That's
like, "Yeah,
great.
we do." But yeah,
That's
it's just
great.
kind of,
You're
and I don't
hitting
want to
every
confuse people.
aspect of it.
Yeah, I don't want people to get the shiny objects because yes, kind of that's what I did, but I didn't really because I've had a lot of experience that I brought to the table of being an entrepreneur. So it wasn't all new to me. I knew a lot of the stuff that you learn when you're a newbie. I already knew it. And so what I did was take my strengths and applied my strengths to each leg of business. And then I found partners who could complement my strengths to come in and help run it or come in and add value and JV and work together. So that's a crucial part
Don't
to
try to do
know.
it all yourself.
Yeah, no, and that's hard because when you're starting off, everybody just kind of does their own thing, and that's all we've known, right? We haven't ever had really a support system like this, so it's tough to get out of that thinking, that mindset of lone wolf, lone wolf everything, So so
Well, and
important though.
especially joining a community, you don't have to, like you're saying, you don't have to lone wolf it. You could just partner up and get your experience that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's been awesome. I mean, we're in a really good place right now. It's still up and down, the finances aren't where they need to be yet, but we've got a lot of cool things going on and we're getting tenants in and we're building our business. We're wholesaling some deals now with our team. So
Nice.
honestly, the team does most of the work. All we're doing is looking for buyers right now. And eventually I'll find someone to be a dispo person for us. I didn't even mean to build a wholesale team, to be honest. I built the team so we could buy co-living properties and then run it, have the team help with the just marketing and the acquisitions and stuff like that. And it turned into a wholesale team because it doesn't make sense just to look for deals for us. If we can get a smoking hot deal, then it makes sense to just pick it up and then wholesale it.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. You're already out there fishing. So might as well bring in the cash. Oh, that's really cool. So what is your current vision? Like, I guess if you were to throw it out there, for anybody watching, is there something that you are looking for, actively seeking right now, where people can, be like, hey, I know how to do that, or I can joint venture with him on that. And what's your vision for like your goal on number of doors and different things?
Sure. Yeah. So my big vision is to have full control of my life. So I don't care about being rich and about like big fancy cars and big houses. I just want to have that ultimate freedom and control of my life. to where I can travel
Yep.
and I can do what I want when I want and not have to look at my bank account. That's what I desire.
Yeah.
I don't need to be Pace Morby. I don't need to be some big guru. Although I do plan on doing having a coaching platform at some point in the near future.
Very cool.
I'm
Yeah.
writing my first book about my experience with my wife, as well
Oh,
right now.
good.
So
That's
I'm officially
great.
going to be I am an author, I guess. But
Yeah.
but multifamily is where I'm headed. Probably
Yeah.
20 to 50 unit. I'm not interested in the big stuff, the syndications. I want to find mom and pop owned seller finance deals. Because we've
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
business owners our whole life and most of our life, and that's where we're
Hmm.
headed. So those are some of my big
Okay.
goals. There's really not a door count number that I'm really looking at. It's just right now my goal is $50,000 a month, and people will go, wow, that's
Yeah.
but $50K a month, and
It's
then
all
double
relative.
that.
It's all
Yeah, double
relative.
that,
Yeah.
and double it again, and then double it again. Guess what happens? You're compounding interest, and before you know it,
There you go.
you're helping out more people than you ever thought was possible. So
Yes. Well, I used to live in Los Angeles for about 6 years in my mid 20s, and I managed 110 unit around that range
yeah,
properties.
yep,
And my first one I ever managed was a 16 unit. And I have to tell you, there wasn't much difference between the workload of a 16 versus 110. So
right,
if you do have an opportunity to purchase a multifamily that's in the 100, 200, 300 unit range,
yeah.
honestly, once you have your systems in place, it's not much different.
Yep. Yeah, it's all, and that's
So,
what I've
yeah.
gathered too. And I've heard that the only reason I like the seller finance portion of it with the smaller ones is you're out
Mhm.
of the sight of hedge funds and family offices. And so the
Oh,
competition
yeah,
is a
yeah, yeah.
lot less fierce. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
But,
Yeah.
but I love Vina Jetty, right? She's a friend of ours. We were actually really dialed in on multifamily early last year, but we realized pretty quickly that we weren't going to be able to make today money with that strategy very
Yeah.
easily. It was a lot more work, a lot more time put in, and no results early last year. So we
Yeah.
just pivoted. I figured the co-living is a good precursor, to the
It
multifamily.
sure is. Yeah. When you're talking about having a tenant die, I'm like, I've had that happen
Yeah,
to me, you
yeah,
know, and it's just yours is co-living versus an apartment building. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
makes
and so
sense.
I would go after the bigger ones. I just wanted to stay under the radar of the big offices. Basically,
That
that's the only method to it for
makes
me,
sense.
really. Now, if I
Yeah.
find somebody
I love
who's
that.
doing that and they need help raising capital, like a partner, that's a different story. That could happen
Heck
tomorrow,
yeah.
you know.
Yes. Yes,
So
exactly. Just the right person listening to this. That's all it takes.
yeah,
No, I love your vision. That's so exciting. And, there are a lot of like baby boomers retiring and that own these, 20 to 50 unit complexes
yeah,
that, are probably looking for their exit strategy. So
exactly.
it's great.
Yeah,
Great timing.
100%. Yeah,
Well, I also think that you have a relationship coach in your future. Like if you're writing a book about your experience with your wife, I bet you could do a coaching business on that too. Like women need help too, but men, wow, like all the epiphanies that you went through could
yes,
really help probably save some marriages and prevent
yes, yeah,
some near misses.
exactly. And it's crazy
Yeah.
because I mean, honestly, if you think about it, relationships in general, I mean, a lot of the principles in the lessons I learned are can be put into any relationship. So yeah, relationships is a big part of it, and mindset. So that is the biggest need
Yeah.
and the number one that I think the number one topic, honestly, in our communities is people need more help with that. Pace doesn't like to
Yeah.
touch on it. He doesn't like to be the guru guy. So he's like, here's how you do it, just do it. And he'll
Yeah.
touch on it here and there, but I decided to focus on mindset, and I might want to reach out to Pace or Carly and find out if I could start my own Zoom in the community. But I just decided to
Yeah.
start it on my own because Carly has her newbie Zoom, and I asked her if I could
Yeah.
hop on
Yeah.
and add value and help her out. She goes, "Oh, we're good. You can hop on." I was like, I really wanted to talk about mindset and show people how to get unstuck and kind of walk people through what it looks like to just get out of your own way and get out of your comfort zone, because those are the things
That's
that
so needed.
keep people stuck.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they overthink everything, their analysis paralysis, doing all the trainings and
Yeah.
not getting themselves out there. And so I just put together a
Yeah.
newbie Zoom just on my personal Facebook page, and I had
I saw
130
that, and I
people
loved how you spelled
registered.
newbie.
Yeah, like 130
Yeah.
people registered for
That's
that first one, and then I had over 50 people show up, and that's actually really good. Those numbers are really good.
yes. Yeah,
So
almost 50%.
I'm gonna just do it every
That's
week
incredible.
until it fizzles out, or until I lead a handful of people into a coaching platform to help them.
It's gonna grow. It's gonna grow. I think I tried to register for it, and for some reason, like it didn't work. So I need to go back and try. But I'm definitely intrigued. I wanna attend that and see how it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah,
You know?
definitely, and share it with
Yeah.
people. I'd love to have other people on. Um, but I do know one
Yes.
thing. I've done podcasts and stuff. I had a podcast for a year and a half that I did. I have a Facebook page called
Cool.
the Creative Collective. Was it REI
Yeah.
Think Tank, I believe? But
Yeah.
it's got over 2,000 members now. But I pretty much took it over from with my partners. They kind of went a different direction. So, but
Okay.
a big problem with registration was you had to use your original account that you signed up with Zoom, or it wouldn't register properly. So that could be it. Your email, the
Oh.
original email you used to when you signed up with Zoom.
Okay. Okay. Thank
We
you.
had that
Thank you. I'll
problem
check
every
into that.
single week. That's why I know.
Okay. No, that's good. That's a good tip.
Yeah,
Well, perfect. Well, I realize that we've pretty much been going at this for an hour, so I'm gonna give you the rest of your evening back.
sure.
But this has been so incredible. It's been such an honor, Lance, to hear your story. I went through the whole gamut of emotions. You took me on a ride, and that was so fun.
Love that.
And you're so inspiring and empowering. And I really, really, sincerely cannot wait to collaborate with you, and work with you in the future, and also send people your way because the world needs more legend Lance.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate the kind words. It's very kind of you. And yeah, I'm just going to keep going. The more people I can help, the better. The more people I can help get what they
Yeah.
want, the more likely I am to get what I want. And that's kind of my philosophy,
Yep.
So
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I can tell. And just your vulnerability and humility with your story, it makes people really attracted, to you. The magnetism there is
thank you.
you are a guy of integrity, and you can tell that you just really want to help people. So yeah, I'm really, really happy that we had this time. So thank you again. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.